we'll be making the wrapped loop. You will need 20 gauge wire, a bead, round nose pliers, flat nose pliers, and cutters. We'll start with the round nose pliers. We'll start kind of the same as we did with a simple loop, but you'll have about an inch or so sticking out of wire. But we're going to make the loop in the same way. So I'm going to have my thumb right up against the tool and on the wire. I'm going to rotate the tool away from me. I'll open the tool, reposition, and keep on going. You want to go until you're a little bit past straight across. I'm actually going to go a little further, like that. Then what we're going to do is break the neck. So I'm going to turn this right up and down just like we did with the simple loop. I'm going to grab in the center of the loop, and I'll be putting my finger underneath the loop just like yesterday. And I'm going to break the neck. So I'm going to push this into the pad of my finger while I'm turning my tool towards me. And then you should end up with the lollipop. So the circle with the line right underneath there. I'm going to take my flat nose pliers to hold the loop. I'm going to make sure that this is as close to 90 degrees as we can, so I pulled this down just a little bit because it was kind of out of there. We're going to take the loop and hold that in the flat nose pliers. I like to hold it back in here, but make sure it's not so far back it's going to get dented, or if you have tools that have the cutters, make sure you're not back in the cutters. My wire's on top, so I'm going to rotate this way. So we're going to take the tail and wrap it around the big part of the wire. Typically, you'll go around 2.5 times to make a wrap loop. And you'll have to make adjustments as you go. So I'm pulling pretty hard. I'm denting my wire, the top here. That's how hard I'm pulling. And I'm pushing into this hand as I'm pulling it around at the same time. That'll allow you to get right underneath there. You don't want any gaps. We want this to be as close as we can without overlapping. Okay, so that's my 2.5 times. I'm going to go ahead and cut that. And then, so check your tail. Usually it's sticking out just a little bit. I'm going to take my flat nose pliers. You can also use crimpers if you want to, and kind of push it in. If it's very long, you won't be able to do that, so you do want to cut it off as close as possible. This is where we add the bead. So you add the bead on that other side, just like that. I'm going to take round nose pliers. Make sure the bead is all the way down. So I have my wire sticking up, the loop is on the bottom. And about halfway down, this is the amount of space that's going to be here for the wraps. You're not quite, so kind of eyeball that, but do want to make sure your pliers are all the way down so you don't get extra space. What I'm going to do is we're going to be building this side backwards basically. So we're going to break the neck first. So I'm just going to take my thumb, I'm going to flatten the wire straight across the tool so I end up with a 90-degree angle. Then I'm going to reposition my pliers. So I'm just going to rotate. I opened the pliers, rotate, so one on top, one on bottom of that wire. And I'm going to move it to the wider end because I want my loops to be the same size. So I need to work in that same area. So I'm going to take the wire and I'm going to go towards myself. Think about up and over, poking yourself in the eye. And then when you get to where you can't go anymore, you're going to reposition. So I loosen my grip, rotate, but you want to stay in the same spot on your pliers so you have a perfect circle. And then I'm going to take the tail and go past my bead and everything. So you should have a circle with the line, the lollipop again. If you need to make a little adjustments, I need to like move this over just a tad. Hold on to there. Little tiny adjustments you can make. If you have a big adjustment, we might just have to start over. Take the round nose pliers away and bring out the flat nose pliers, and we're going to wrap the tail. So this is just like the other side. So I'm trying to get a 90-degree angle from here and then straight up. And I'm using my round nose pliers to pull the tail around. And I'm going to reposition as needed. So you might have to move this a little bit so it gets out of the way. But we're going to go around about 2.5 times. I'm going to turn this again. And I'm pushing into my hand as I pull that tail around. And then I'll take the cutters and cut the tail. So you want the flat side against your work anytime you're cutting, so you can get as close as possible. So I have, this is my flat side, so that's against my work. And then I'm going to tuck in that tail one more time, the other side there, okay? And that is your wrapped loop.